The Adventures of the McKoy Brothers and the Dojo Inferno. It was a quiet evening at the dojo, the setting sun casting long shadows across the wooden floor. Michael Jr. and his brothers, Robert, Jaakson, and Jakob, had the place to themselves. Their sensei, Miss Zach, had entrusted them with the key while she went out of town for a tournament. The task was simple: keep the dojo clean and practice their Shinryu karate. Nothing too hard, right?
Wrong.
The setup. Robert, the oldest and angriest of the brothers, was pacing around, irritated as usual. This is pointless. We could be doing something useful instead of babying this place. Michael Jr., always trying to stay positive, chimed in. Come on, it's not that bad. Besides, we could use the practice. Sensei Joan left us in charge to prove we're responsible. Responsible? Jakob, the youngest, complained. I'm responsible enough to say this is boring. And it smells weird in here. Jaakson, the 12-year-old who rarely knew what was happening, poked at the punching bag absent-mindedly. Maybe we could just have some fun?
The brilliant idea.
Robert's eyes lit up with a mischievous glint. You know what's more fun than practicing? A challenge. Michael Jr. frowned. What kind of challenge? Let's see who can break a board using something other than karate, Robert declared. We've been training long enough. Let's get creative. Michael Jr. sighed, already sensing this was a bad idea. But before he could argue, Robert had grabbed a stack of wooden boards and set them up in the middle of the dojo. All right, I'll go first. Robert picked up a metal pole used for holding training equipment and, with a powerful swing, shattered the board.
See?
Easy. Jaakson, wide-eyed, nodded excitedly. Oh, let me try. He picked up a mop, of all things, and gave the board a half-hearted whack. The mop bounced off the board, leaving the wood intact, but the bucket of water at the end of the mop spilled all over the dojo floor. Jakob groaned. You're making a mess, idiot. Jaakson blinked. Oops. Jakob's matchstick moment. Not to be outdone, Jakob decided he had to up the ante. I'll show you how it's done. We've got some candles, right? Let's see if fire can do the trick. Michael Jr. immediately felt a surge of panic. Wait, fire? That's a bad idea. But it was too late. Jakob had already found a box of matches and lit one of the small decorative candles Sensei Joan kept in the dojo for special ceremonies. Jakob grinned as he held the candle over a board. Watch and learn. For a moment, nothing happened. The candle dripped wax onto the wood, but no flames appeared. See? Jakob sneered. It's fine. But then, without warning, a spark caught onto a piece of the mop that Jaakson had knocked over earlier. The small flame grew into a larger flicker, and before any of the boys could react, the fire spread to the wooden floorboards soaked with water and wax. Michael Jr. stared, wide-eyed. Oh no. Oh no.
The blaze.
The fire spread faster than any of them anticipated. Robert, usually the hot-headed one, looked stunned. I told you guys not to mess around, he muttered, clearly trying to pin the blame elsewhere. You're the one who started it. Michael Jr. snapped, running around in circles, desperately looking for something to douse the flames. Jaakson, still clueless, stood there holding the mop. I'll clean it up, he yelled, trying to smother the fire with the wet mop head. But the flames just licked higher, catching the curtains that lined the dojo's windows. Jakob, who had caused the whole mess, started complaining. This place was a fire hazard to begin with. At this point, the fire alarms started blaring. The dojo was quickly filling with smoke, and the boys were left in a complete state of panic. The escape. We need to get out of here, Michael Jr. shouted, grabbing Jakob by the arm. But the dojo, Robert protested, his loyalty to their family legacy kicking in at the worst possible moment. We can't save it now, Michael Jr. yelled back, yanking open the door as the smoke thickened around them. The brothers scrambled outside, coughing and covered in soot. They stood in stunned silence on the sidewalk as the flames roared higher, the fire department's sirens wailing in the distance. Jakob, as usual, was the first to speak. Well, this could have been worse. Michael Jr. stared at him in disbelief. How could it possibly have been worse? The aftermath. The fire department managed to put out the flames, but the damage was done. The dojo, Sensei feeling Zack pride and joy, was reduced to a charred ruin. The brothers stood there, covered in ash, watching as the firefighters worked. Robert kicked the ground, grumbling. Well, there goes our shot at proving we're responsible. Michael Jr., still in shock, muttered, "We're so dead." Jakob, ever the complainer, shook his head. This was definitely the dojo's fault. Jaakson, who still hadn't fully grasped what had happened, asked, "So, do we still have to practice tomorrow?" A lesson, sort of, learned. When Sensei Joan returned, her disappointment was palpable. The boys tried to explain themselves, but the truth was undeniable. They had burned down the dojo. In the end, their punishment was harsh but fair. The McKoy brothers spent the next several months rebuilding the dojo brick by brick, learning a valuable lesson about responsibility, teamwork, and not mixing fire with karate. But as they hammered away, Michael Jr. couldn't help but laugh a little. "At least we'll never forget this lesson." Jakob, of course, complained the entire time. This is all Robert's fault. And so, the McKoy brothers began their journey, not just to rebuild the dojo, but to rebuild their family's legacy, one misstep at a time.